crypto and the logarithmic trends that I look at, it's kind of nothing really happening. We're just in a big sideways range right now. It's been quite the week, right? But I think most of us have been around for a while. It's kind of just all part of the game. And it's just been interesting being on Twitter, watching the monkeys throwing poo at each other as soon as things fall apart. Everybody's freaking out, accusing each other of all sorts of things. It's kind of hilarious. But, you know, within the general context of crypto and the logarithmic trends that I look at, it's kind of nothing really happening. We're just in a big sideways range right now. And I think, you know, I looked at this in detail, and for me, it's all been driven by the lack of inflows into the overall network. We just haven't seen network growth for a while. And whether that's a function of consumer spending patterns, so, you know, if you raise a lot of prices on people and don't raise their wages enough, then the marginal investor disappears. And I think we've seen that. We've seen that in stuff like the meme stocks as well. So I think that's kept people away, and that's kept the market a little more volatile. But from the top-down perspective, all I get is phone calls and conference calls with all of the world's biggest investors. This week alone, I've spoken to two of the largest private equity firms in the world who are like, how do we do this? How do we get involved? And that's, you know, I'm speaking to pension funds, asset allocators, everybody. So I don't think anything's changed at all. It's just a period of stagnancy.
When you say they're looking to get involved, on what grounds are they looking to get involved?
It's a combination of levels. So firstly, most people have done some VC. Almost everybody has. And we've seen that in the flows, because that's easy to get past your investment committee because there's no mark to market. You're not having something on your balance sheet that nobody knows how to deal with. So we saw that, and people are now like, okay, well, where do we go from here? So one of the things I've done is I've set up a fund of funds investing in crypto hedge funds. There's a lot of interest in that space. You know, how do we get exposure? That's how people want to get exposure to DeFi as well, because it's an easier route to get a bunch of different hedge funds who run DeFi strategies to have a kind of diversified portfolio, because people don't yet understand the risks, and I think that's right. So they're looking at the secondary markets now, and, you know, realistically, if you look at the VC space, I mean, there's been tens of billions of dollars gone into VC. While if you look at the secondary markets, i.e. the hedge fund market, there's been about $1 billion of primary capital only. And the whole space is about 6 billion. And that's mainly driven by performance. So there's a lot of institutional interest in that. The banks and everybody else are looking at, okay, how do we service this market? How do we set up trading desks? What do we need to provide? The mega finance firms are thinking, okay, how do we further get into this market beyond just VC? You know, people are looking at, I mean, I'm seeing people looking at DeFi separately to figure out how can we get involved in the lending markets, because these guys are super experienced. We've seen the launch of things like the new Brevin Howard, which is the mega hedge fund run by Alan Howard. They've just launched Brevin Howard Digital, and that's a whole kind of soup to nuts organization with, you know, they've retooled a bunch of credit traders and brought them into DeFi because they understand the kind of risk cycles and stuff. They brought a whole bunch of people into the space. So I just see that institutionalization of product, which actually allows for new capital to come into the space, which was something that was needed, because a lot of people can't put Bitcoin and ETH on their balance sheets. It just doesn't work for them. So they're looking at how do we get involved without doing that?
Michael Saylor's taking it in the face repeatedly right now. But how's the view over where you are? Is he looking like a fool, or is he just kind of chilling and saying, you know,
look, who knows? It's either one of the bravest corporate bets of all time, you know, kind of like Massa does at SoftBank from time to time, or it's going to go horribly wrong. My guess is he knows what he's doing. He's not, you know, Michael's not a stupid guy. He really understands what he's doing, and I think the probability of it paying off remains pretty high. Now, does the market want to test his entry point, which is about 31,000 in Bitcoin? Possibly. Markets like to do that kind of stuff to kind of stress test people's positioning. I don't think anything really changes at that point. So, but I don't think many other people will follow suit just because it's so hard for accounting. You've seen him fighting with the SEC over how you account for this stuff. It's just not easy for people to do.